Sorghum, and sorghum once again. What's up, 23% Nation? This is your man, Coach D. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back with whole grain of the day, the one and only sorghum. So maybe you've never heard of it, maybe you don't even know how to pronounce it, but don't fret, don't worry, and definitely don't fear. Why? Because Coach D is here. So guys, get ready. We're about to dive just a little deeper into the wonderful world of sorghum. All right, first up, just a little bit of background information. Sorghum is an ancient cereal grain that originated in parts of Africa and Australia more than 5,000 years ago. So there you have it, guys. Sorghum is definitely old. Also, the grain has been used to make sorghum syrup, animal feed, certain alcoholic beverages, and even energy efficient biofuels. So wow, as it turns out, sorghum has a multitude of uses. So not only can it be consumed by humans, but it can also be used as an alcoholic beverage and biofuels. So there you have it, guys. Just a little bit of background information about sorghum. All right, now it's time to dive into a few fun facts. Number one, sorghum is considered the fifth most important cereal crop grown in the world and the third most important in the US. Now, in the previous side, we talked about how sorghum can be used as biofuels and other different products. So because it has so many different uses, no wonder it's so important not only in the United States, but ultimately throughout the entire globe. Next fun fact. The first known record of sorghum in the United States comes from Benjamin Franklin in 1757, who wrote about how the grains could be used to make brooms. So not only can sorghum be used to make a broom, but let's not forget the previous information that we went over. Syrup, biofuels, wow, fabulous. Next up, sorghum goes by many names around the globe. Milo in parts of India, Guinea corn in West Africa, Kafir corn in South Africa, and we have Dura in Sudan. And last but not least, sorghum can be popped just like popcorn. So take a look at the picture. Notice that the popped corn is larger, and notice that the popped sorghum is smaller. So if you ever are in a location where popcorn is being served, just simply look at the size of the kernel. If it's large, chances are it's popped corn. If it's small, chances are it's popped sorghum. Now, has Coach D ever tasted popped sorghum before? I don't think I have, but I would definitely love to see exactly how it tastes. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, just a few fun facts about sorghum. All right. Now that we've covered a little bit of background information and a few fun facts, guys, let's dive into the 520 rule. Now, what is the 520 rule all about? Well, ultimately, it's all about food labels. That's right, guys, food labels. Basically, the 520 rule is a guide. It's a guide that lets us know whether or not a food item is a good source or not a good source of any particular nutrient. Right. In other words, it takes out the guesswork when trying to read and understand food labels. Now, the most important aspect of the 520 rule is that it really focuses on percent daily value, abbreviated percent DV. Now, if you take a look at our sample food label, you'll notice that percent daily value is highlighted in lavender. And you'll notice that certain percentages are also highlighted too. Now, continue to look at the food label and you'll notice that some nutrients are highlighted in yellow while others are highlighted in blue. Now, when it comes to the 520 rule, remember it's all about percent DV, right? So if we take a look at nutrients such as total fat, cholesterol, and sodium, you always want the percent DV to be on the lower end. Why? Because these nutrients are not necessarily good for the body. As a matter of fact, they do a very good job at causing disease. Now, if we take a look at the nutrients that are highlighted in blue, or shall we say light blue, such as dietary fiber, vitamins, and minerals, well, those are the nutrients that we want to have a higher amount of. Why? Because they promote health, not disease. So, to get a little more specific about the 520 rule, here's what you want to keep in mind, is that when it comes to percent daily value, if the food item offers anywhere from 0% to 9%, then it is not a good source of that particular nutrient. If it offers 10% to 19% DV of any particular nutrient, then the food item is a good source of that particular nutrient. And lastly, if the food item offers 20% or higher DV, then it is considered an excellent source of that particular nutrient. So, 0 to 9%, not a good source. 10 to 19, good source. 20% or higher, it is an excellent source. So there you have it, guys. Just a quick overview of the 520 rule. All right, now let's take a look at our nutrition facts. So for today's lecture, we're going to simply say that a single serving of sorghum is equivalent to 1/4 cooked. Now, specifically, we need to identify that we're not necessarily talking about the grain alone. Here's a really cool thing about sorghum is that it can be converted into a flour. That's right. So the nutrition facts that I'm offering you today are for sorghum flour, not necessarily the grain. So in only a 1/4 cup of sorghum flour, we're going to get 120 calories, only 1 gram of fat, 25 grams of carbs, 3 grams of fiber, and 4 grams of protein. Nice. Now let's take a look at the vitamins and the minerals. Phosphorus comes in at 10% DV, which makes this serving of sorghum flour a good source of phosphorus. Then we have iron coming in at 8% DV. Now, because that's between 0 and 9%, it is not a good source of iron. Niacin only comes in at 6%, so unfortunately, sorghum flour is not a good source of niacin. And lastly, we have thiamine, which comes in at 6%, and unfortunately, it is not a good source of thiamine either. All right, now it's time to talk about the health benefits. Now, here's something that you have to understand, is that food, just like any other part of nature, basically follows the principle of cause and effect, which basically states that every cause has its effect and every effect has its cause. When it comes to sorghum, basically the nutrient content, or shall we say the nutrition facts, well, those are the causes and the health benefits are the effects. So, in other words, when you put sorghum in your body, this is what happens. Number one, it's high in fiber. Now let's quickly remember that fiber is what Coach D likes to call nature's plumber. In other words, it helps to clean the waste out of your GI tract, and it also helps to clean the cholesterol out of your blood vessels. So that's why I call it nature's plumber. Also, it's slowly digested and balances blood sugar. Now, for people who are diabetic, this is of utmost importance. Next up, it helps fight inflammation, cancer, and heart disease. Amazing. Also, it's a good source of antioxidants. Now, you know I love phytochemicals, and we all know that antioxidants are a type of phytochemical. So at this point in time, I just want to dive just a little deeper into which antioxidants sorghum contains. We have tannins, phenolic acids, anthocyanins, phytosterols, and we cannot forget about polycosanols. Wow, sounds amazing. And our last health benefit when it comes to sorghum is that it is gluten-free. Yes, that's right, gluten-free. So if you suffer from celiac disease or any type of gluten intolerance, then sorghum is definitely for you. And the cherry on top is that it is a non-GMO, which basically means that this particular grain does not contain any genetically modified organisms. All right, so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, just a few health benefits of sorghum. All right, now it's time to talk about food, but in particular, vegan food. Guys, I went back to Naturally Ella, which is coming in a close second place to, of course, forksoverknives.com for a source of vegan dishes. So I did just a little bit of research on naturallyella.com and look at what I found. Sorghum tabbouleh as our first recipe, and then our second recipe is roasted chipotle sweet potato and sorghum salad. So if these dishes aren't causing your mouth to water, then I don't know what will. Now, here's the cool part, is that if you are so inclined, all you have to do is click on the description box. Why? Because I'm providing you with a direct link to both of these recipes. Now, click on the link, you'll find the ingredient list as well as the instructions as to how to make these dishes. So, excuse me, if you do, please let me know exactly how they taste in the comment box below. All right. Now, 23% Nation, I hear you. A lot of you say, well, Coach D, thank you for the background information, and I really appreciate those sorghum recipes. They look amazing. But what I really want to know is, when should I eat more sorghum? Well, guys, the perfect day, and I do mean the perfect day, is Nature Day. Nature Day, right? What is it? What is it all about? Okay. Well, guys, Nature Day happens to be the first day of the 23% challenge. Now, maybe you know nothing about the challenge. Well, the 23% challenge is basically a wellness program. Actually, it's a monthly 7-day wellness program that is designed to help improve your health, your wealth, your relationships, and help save planet Earth. That's right, only in 7 days. Now, here's the interesting thing about the challenge is that it's the first 7 days of every single month, the 1st through the 7th. Now, Nature Day, being the first day of the challenge, simply makes it the first day of every single month. So, whether it's January 1st, May 1st, or even November 1st, it's always Nature Day. Now, perhaps you want to know more about Nature Day. Well, guys, Nature Day is all about getting closer to nature. Now, yes, there are lots of things you can do in order to get closer to nature. You can go swim in the ocean. You can go visit animals at a petting zoo, or maybe you can go adopt a pet. But the way in which Coach D suggests that we get closer to nature is that we get closer to nature simply by eating it. That's right, guys. It's definitely time for us to eat more plants. Now, let's say you are considering eating more plants, or maybe you're in the process of transitioning to a more plant-based diet. If that is you, then Coach D wants to offer 3 avenues that I believe can definitely help make it a little easier for you. First up is to try to become a 3% vegan. Now, what does that mean? It simply means that you choose only one day out of an entire month to eat only plant foods and drink only water. Now, the second type is a 13% vegan, which basically means you choose 4 days out of an entire month to eat only plant foods and drink only water. Now, the third type is a 23% vegan, and technically that's what Coach D is. Remember, the 23% challenge is the first 7 days of every single month. So what that means is that for the first 7 days of every single month, me, Coach D, I am a strict vegan, meaning I only eat from the 5 food groups of plants, meaning all fruits, all vegetables, all nuts and seeds, all legumes, meaning beans and peas, and lastly, all whole grains. And of course, I only drink water. That's it, guys. So there you have it. That's what Nature Day is all about. Simply getting closer to nature by eating more plants. All right, now perhaps you want to try to become either a 3%, 13%, or 23% vegan. So I want to offer you just a few tips to make your Nature Day very successful. Tip number 1, go to your local grocery store and only hang out in the produce section. Why? Well, because that's where all your fresh produce is going to be located, okay? Not necessarily up and down the aisles. Now, while you're at your grocery store, and if you want, you can always go to your grocer's freezer. Now, in the grocer's freezer, you're going to find the frozen options, the frozen vegetables, the frozen fruits, and perhaps some frozen legumes, right? Now, believe it or not, the frozen options can be just as nutritious as the fresh options. My second tip is to visit a farmer's market. Believe it or not, there are lots of advantages to visiting a farmer's market. For instance, the food that you find at a farmer's market, or shall I say the produce that you find at a farmer's market, is going to be organically certified. Why? Because the owners of the market, they require that their farmers, or shall I say that their vendors, be organically certified. Also, because the produce is grown locally, that means less transit time, which basically translates to less pesticides, less herbicides, and yes, it even saves the farmers money, which ultimately means that savings is passed on to you as a customer. Next up, you can always go to the prepared dishes section of your grocery store. Basically, this is the kitchen. Now, all you have to do is walk on over to the prepared dishes section, talk to the person behind the counter, and ask them if they have any vegan or vegetarian options. If they do, ask for a quick sample, taste it right there on the spot, and if you like it, order it by the pound or maybe even 2 pounds. And lastly, go visit a vegan restaurant. Guys, vegan restaurants are amazing for a few reasons. Number one, they employ vegan chefs which know how to combine the best plant foods to not only give you the best tasting dishes, but also to give you the most nutritious dishes. Now, here's the thing. Some of us may not even know that vegan restaurants exist. If that is you, all you have to do is a quick Google search. Type in vegan restaurants near me, and within less than half of a second, Google will give you all the available options. Now, if you decide to go to a vegan restaurant, which I highly suggest, do two things. Number one, let them know that Coach D sent you. And number two, be sure to order something with sorghum in it. So there you have it, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4 tips as to how to have a successful Nature Day. All right, it's time for our question of the day, and this one comes from yours truly and the rest of the 23% nation. We have inquiry minds, so we want to know, which sorghum recipe do you prefer? Was it recipe 1, recipe 2, or maybe, just maybe, you know of an amazing vegan sorghum recipe that you would like to share with us? So, whether you want to take one of mine or share one of yours, please write your answer in the comment box below. Guys, we want to thank you for watching. We definitely thank you for listening. As always, let's eat well, feel well, think well, do well, be well. This is your man, Coach D. Now, before I sign out, I got to ask you to please subscribe, like, and share the video, especially if you love sorghum. Also, don't forget to use our 3-word mantra. It's hashtag eat more plants. As stated before, my name is Coach D. Always remember to take care, God bless, and never ever forget that Coach D loves you.